In this video, we're going to show you how you can call a dialog component from a grid and then pass information from the dialog back to the grid. This is a design pattern that I think will be common in version 11, and this video shows how you can do it. So let's take this example grid here, which we've constructed, for which we've constructed a very simple example, and I'm going to press this button. That opens up a dialog, and it's going to open the dialog in a drop-down window that has been set to use the drop-down style. And now here's the dialog displayed in the window, and I'm going to type in a value here, say Jones, and then click this button, which is going to take this value and fill it into the current row of the grid, and then close the dialog component down. So go there and hit set value, and you can see that Jones got filled in. So let's go ahead now and see how this was accomplished. So I'm going to go back to design mode and then look at this button and open up the on-click event, and you can see that the dialog uses action JavaScript to open a dialog component, but before we open the dialog component we execute some inline JavaScript. So first let's look at the action that opens the dialog component. So you can see here that this, which is prompting, we just open up a dialog called dialog underbar prompt for name. We've set our window style to be a drop-down window, and then we've checked this property that says allow auto close of dirty dialog. So when a window is set to use the drop-down style, there's a special behavior which is that if you click anywhere off the window will close automatically, because that's the built-in behavior of a drop-down window. But if the content of that drop-down window is a dialog or a grid and it's dirty, then that behavior is suppressed. So clicking anywhere off the window will not by default close the window if the contained grid or dialog is dirty. But in this case we don't want that behavior, so we want to close the dialog automatically when you click off it, even if the contents of the dialog is dirty. So this is the code that opens up the dialog component. And then let's go look at our inline JavaScript over here. And you can see what we're doing here is we're setting two global JavaScript variables. So they're global because they've been put inside the JavaScript window object. And we've basically created one variable here called the calling grid alias, which is the grid alias of this grid, the grid that opens up the dialog component. And then we've also stored the calling grid row number, which is the row number of the row in which the button was just clicked. So we're going to use these two global variables inside the event handler in the dialog component. So now let's go to the dialog component over here and look at the button that gets pressed when you want to fill in the value in the grid. So we'll go to the on-click event here, and what you can see here is that we're reading out these two global variables that we previously stored, calling grid alias and calling grid row number. And if those two values are not undefined, in other words, if both of them are defined, then what we're doing is we're reading the value of the name control. So we're using the dialog object's get name property, get value property, to read the value of the name field. And then we're basically executing the grid object's set value property to set the value of last name in the row number that was stored in this global variable over there. And then finally we are getting a pointer to the current window by doing A5 window get from element this, where this is the button that's on the dialog. And then finally we're basically hiding the window, so that closes the window down. I hope that you found that useful. Thanks very much.